Hey everybody, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 5-2, and everyone's now raving about Tom Brady. And now that Cam Newton threw 3 interceptions and got benched, suddenly some people like at CBS are saying that he's mediocre after he had a Superman performance to start the year. And now they're saying that Tom Brady obviously knew something in leaving the New England Patriots. It's really amazing the massive amount of stupidity we get today in much of the mainstream media. People deserve better, but that's another discussion for another time. Let me give you a taste of better, all right? Fact. Fact of the matter is that last year, the Buccaneers had something that they have this year, a top-ranked defense. Last year, they finished 2019 ranked number 1 against the run. This year, they're number 1 against the run. This year, their defense is number 1, and it's a pretty good bet it's going to remain in the top 5 for the rest of the year. It's that kind of group. It's that kind of scheme. They're blitzing more. Something else, too, that's entirely different. It isn't just Tom Brady. It's something that I said they were going to have Tom Brady do that they should have had Jameis Winston do last year. Throw shorter passes. And before you say, well, Zinni, they haven't changed it because I see Tom Brady throwing deep all the time, my retort to you is you haven't watched enough Buccaneers football, and all you have to do is look at the statistics to see how different the scheme has been and how that has shown up in the statistical results to this point in time. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This was right here, the Buccaneers under Jameis Winston offense games, and as you can see, it says game log, regular season passing, and we go down, we see average, right? 1, 2, 3 games where they were over 10 yards per completion. 4 games where they were over 10 yards per completion. A number of games where they were well over 7 yards and 8 yards to leave 8.2. That's right, 8.2. I repeat, 8.2. 8.2 average for 2019. All right. Now, you would say, okay, why is that? And that's because, of course, the whole risk it, no biscuit approach that Buccaneers head coach Bruce Arians quite literally threw at Jameis Winston his first year and did not adjust for him. However, for Brady, they made a number of wholesale changes with Bruce Arians and offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich, who doesn't get enough credit at all for mating Tom Brady's talents with what the Bucs do and making sure that Brady understands the terminology and all that goes with it. But I digress. To date, here is the difference. Passing. Average. 6.9 yards. They went from 8.2 yards down a whole yard plus to 6.9 yards. Look at that. Look at that. And not a game where they were even close to 10 yards average per pass attempt. 8.2 was the case for their latest contest against the Raiders. 6.1 prior to that against the Packers. 6.2 against the Bears where they lost. 8 yards against Chargers organization they were lucky to escape from. 7.8, 6.2, 6.6 to start the season versus New Orleans, 6.9 yards. And if you look, it's difficult to say that there's a pattern, except that occasionally we have the 7.8s and the 8s where they hit on deep throws. But they hit on those deep throws oh so meticulously and skillfully versus the way they did it the year before. The fundamental difference in the way the Buccaneers approach their passing game this year is that rather than having the receivers break deeper downfield, what's going on is that Brady is more apt to throw a lead-in type of deep pass, be it a lead-in pass off of a circle route or what we call a wheel route or a fly pattern, as opposed to quite literally standing there as Winston was asked to do on any number of occasions and wait for the receiver to break downfield. And when Jameis was asked to throw short, it wasn't out of any truly interesting and effective way. It couldn't even be called a check down. It wasn't well thought out. Sometimes Jameis wind up accidentally hitting a receiver or their offensive lineman over the head. That happened once. Or on a number of weird occasions, the receivers would actually drop balls. Like when O.J. Howard caught a great pass over the middle, great pass thrown by Jameis, only to see him quite literally fumble it behind his back. I can go on about how weird that season was for the Buccaneers and for Jameis Winston. But the bottom line is, it was an offense that asked Jameis Winston to throw deep just because Bruce Arians thought it was a good idea. This time, the offense is catered to what Tom Brady does best, his ideas. They're listening to him. The reason they're saying is because he has all of these rings. My point is, look, if you really understand football, it shouldn't take a person having 6 Super Bowl rings to tell you what makes sense versus what doesn't. It doesn't speak well to Bruce Arians in terms of what he did as a coach in the past or with Jameis Winston. And one could say, well, he just adjusted. But yeah, my retort would be, well, again, you mean you didn't have any confidence in what you were doing the year before to figure out that it didn't work? It took Tom Brady to show you it didn't work? Now, come on, all right? All that aside, the Bucs clearly are a better team. They found that nice sweet spot, that point between the number of pass plays you call, the type of pass play short, the installation of a strong running game that can pick up those yards when you need it, the addition of a more than capable and extremely talented running back in Leonard Fournette, and superimposed upon all that excellent Buccaneers defense, which, by the way, just happened to turn the blitz meter up just a little bit over the previous year. Well, maybe a lot more. You put all that together and it spells a formula for winning that any team like the Atlanta Falcons can copy if they want to start mounting up W's on the board. The Falcons' problem was, well, football's not really that complicated. They were trying to throw deep. They did not have a power running game to muscle down the clock when they were developing large leads. Their defense was getting worn down, particularly in this pandemic-impacted season. And what started out to be a blowout loss on a number of occasions turned into cryingly disappointing wins. It's not hard to figure out what happened with the Falcons, but I digress. The Buccaneers appear to have found the formula for winning. The question is, who can knock them off? And I'll have that an answer in my next video later in the week. Subscribe to Zenny62, bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com, and my preview answer is, well, right now, nobody. I'll see you.